Whether you're listening at home, at work, or anywhere, thanks for making Para X part of your day. Your source for everything paranormal, Para X.
It's Marla. If you like tonight's episode of Stirring the Cauldron and the archive podcast as well, take a look at the show's YouTube channel and check out the dozens of shows that are there just waiting to be heard. New shows are added each week, and while you're there, why not subscribe? It's free. And if you click on that tiny little bell icon at the top of the page, you'll be notified when new shows are available. Just go to youtube.com and then type in Stirring the Cauldron Para X and the link will appear. Just like magic.
Your source for everything paranormal, Para X. The views expressed and the opinions given by the individual host and their guests do not necessarily reflect those of Para X, its affiliates, or its sponsors.
Merry part, bright the cheeks and warm the heart, for tread the circle thrice about, to keep unwelcome spirits out. Bide within the law you must, in perfect love and perfect trust. Mind the threefold laws you should, 3 times bad and 3 times good. These 8 words the read fulfill, and ye harm none, do what ye will.
Welcome to Stirring the Cauldron. Now, here's your host, Marla Brooks.
Hey everybody, Merry Meet and welcome to Stirring the Cauldron here on the Para X Radio Network. I am really excited to have psychic medium and author Echo Bodine here with us tonight. And if any of you have any questions for Echo during the show, send me a private chat in the Para X chat room. Or you can private message Reverend Tim Shaw and see if he can get you on the air with us with his new equipment. And Tim, just in case you can, what would that number be?
The number is area code 716-508-4638.
Okay, thank you. All right. Echo first discovered that she was born with psychic abilities and the gift of healing at the age of 17. She took classes for 2 years and practiced on friends and family for 12 years before beginning her full-time practice as a psychic, a healer, and a ghostbuster in 1979. She then went on to teaching classes on psychic development and spiritual healing, and she's appeared on numerous national television shows, including Sally Jesse Raphael, Sightings, Beyond with James Von Prague, NBC's The Other Side, Unexplained Mysteries, The Today Show, A&E, and Encounters. She also has her own show on Blog Talk Radio, and she's written several books, including Hands That Heal, Echoes of the Soul, Relax, It's Only a Ghost, and her latest book, The Little Book of True Ghost Stories, which we're going to be talking about tonight. And I love that book. I've been reading it for the last 3 days, and it made me smile. So please join me in welcoming Echo Bodine. Hi, Echo, and thank you so much for joining me.
Hi, Marla. Hi, Tim. I'm so glad the book made you smile.
Oh, it did. It did. And partly because it was really, really interesting. I mean, everybody and their brother has written a book on ghost stories. But
I know.
But this book, because of the way it's written, as well as the stories themselves, it just opens up a whole new facet of reading these types of books, because you can be there. I mean, you're really there with it. Yeah, I mean, you can see it, and the fact that you talk to it from a medium point of view as well.
Yep.
Some people can tell stories, but they're not in it and doing it. So that little extra bit made it so fantastic. So yeah, I was smiling. And
thank you.
Some people would say I don't do that very much, but I do, and I did. But before we talk about some of the stories, I think a good place to start would be to talk about the difference between ghosts and spirits, because lots of people believe that they're one and the same.
Yeah, I know it. And, they aren't. And, okay, a ghost is the soul of someone who has died, but they've chosen not to go on to the other side for one reason or another. And a spirit is the soul of someone who has died, but has chosen to go on to the other side. And they, you can tell if you're somebody that can see spirit, you can tell by looking at them which is which. And a ghost, ghosts always look like people. They look just like the person that they looked like in their past life, as do spirits. But ghosts kind of have a different energy around them, almost just like a stuck, like flood, like they're not going anywhere kind of an energy. Whereas with a spirit, they live on the other side, but they come here back and forth. They can come, they can visit, and then they go back home. And so they are not earthbound. And
well, you said ghosts live on the astral plane, so spirits live on the other side kind of thing. That would be kind of the definition. But you know what? One thing that you wrote that really caught me off guard was the mention about the fact that the ghosts who reside on the astral plane have gray auras. Now, I knew all living things have auras, but I never even thought that a ghost might. So I found it rather fascinating, and also kind of had one of those V8 duh moments as well, because why wouldn't they?
Right, exactly. Yeah, whoever thinks a ghost is going to have an aura, but they do. It's real subtle, but after a while, you just kind of, when you look at them, you go, whoa, you got this energy around you, and it's not, it's kind of blah. And, so that's how you can tell. Plus, their energy is cold. When you walk into a lot of times when people walk into a room that they think is haunted, if they can't see spirit, you can usually walk around and feel for that cold spot, and then that's where the ghost is. Versus if there was a spirit in that room, like someone that's, gone on to the other side, but they've come back to visit, you're not going to feel that cold energy. Mm-hmm. So there is that.
It is kind of like ghosts haunt, spirits don't necessarily.
Right, exactly. That's a good way to put it. Yep.
Yeah, unless they're having some fun and a giggle, which they're entitled to do.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I would probably do that, but...
Oh, yeah. I know lots of people that are deceased that love to come and chat and hang out and do silly little things around my house just to get my attention, but they don't try to cause harm. They don't try to scare me. I mean, they might try to scare me like, woo! Like kind of scare me, but you know what I mean. But they're not throwing things around. I mean, God, there is a difference. So, and it's subtle. And the other thing too is, spirits they just feel nicer. They just have a nice energy, whereas ghosts give off so much fear, and then that in turn creates our fear, and then the room is full of fear, and so that's a very different thing than when a deceased loved one comes to visit.
Mm-hmm, exactly. Now, a lot of the stories in the book involve crossing earthbound ghosts over. Mm-hmm. And in many instances, it is necessary for them to go, and you wouldn't cross somebody over that didn't need to go. Let's put it that way. Yeah. Or if somebody asked you not to cross them over. But what with free will and all, they can return. And I'm assuming that some who might have been afraid to cross over for various reasons do find once they get there that it's not such a bad place after all. But
Yes.
what about some of the bad pennies who keep coming back? How do you deal with them?
Well, the best way that I found, we can go out and talk to the ghosts and convince them that it's the best thing to do for their soul is to go on, get on with their life, create a new life, start a new life, blah, blah, blah. Okay, oh my God, I just totally dropped my thought. Oh my God.
About them coming back, dealing with the hanger-oners?
Oh yes, thank you. Okay. But what I found is that if they come back, our experience has been, when I say our, I mean my brother Michael and I, our experience has been it's because the homeowner has called them back. Mm-hmm. And so what we have found in that situation is that it's ultimately up to the homeowner to tell them that, okay, it's time for you to really leave. It's time for you to really go to the other side and stay there. And some of these homeowners, they just don't want to do that. Their ghosts are like a pet, and they love their ghosts. They love the attention that having a ghost can bring for them, because they can go to work every day and have another story for people. Right. And it makes them kind of popular with people if they have a ghost. Some people that live alone who have a ghost, they develop a relationship with this being. And but it's interesting because then they call us and please come and get rid of this ghost. Okay, so we get rid of the ghost. And then what happens is they're lonely and they call the ghost back. So then that's when we tell the homeowner, okay, you know what, we're not going to come back. This time it is up to you. You know how to get rid of them. And then they'll usually call and say, okay, I did. I got rid of them. I told them to go to the other side and they left. Sometimes they'll say no and then we'll go back out. But it's an interesting thing to watch the whole process as people release or let go of their ghosts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because there's a myriad of reasons why they hang on to them.
Yep, that's
but
right.
You have several cases where ghosts have tried to scare you, legitimately scare, and lots of people have encountered these spiteful types and usually take off in the other direction. But you believe that we are actually stronger than these entities and can control them, correct?
Yeah. Well,
for the most part.
Them. That one's got a big question mark next to it. But, because some of them, oh, man. I'll tell you, Marla, this one was a funny one. My brother and I went out to this warehouse here in town, and the boss had called us because, oh, my gosh, this ghost he kept going into the women's bathroom and appearing to women when they're sitting going to the bathroom. Okay.
Oh, jeez.
Totally freaking these women out. They were to the point where no one would go to the bathroom alone. They'd all, okay, somebody has to come with me to go to the bathroom. Okay. Mm-hmm. So at first all the employees were complaining about this ghost. And the boss thought, yeah, okay, we'll see. And then the ghost appeared to the boss. And that's when the boss said, oh, my God, and called us. And so we went out. Well, this guy was just a jerk. And what it was, when we asked him, why are you here? Why won't you go to the other side? He was upset because he said that he used to own the land that they built this warehouse on. And he's trying to scare everybody out of there. And in his mind, he's thinking if he can get rid of all the people, then this building will just magically disappear and he'll have his land back. I mean, Oh my God. Okay, so he comes. Oh, this was funny. Michael and I were talking to him, saying, "Well, look, it's been a long time since you were gone, and you really need to let go, and blah blah blah. This is a business, and somebody else bought this property." Okay, and so then he just looks at both of us, and he shoots up to the roof. And he starts walking on the roof, and we could all, down the warehouse, we could all hear him up there, and my brother's like, oh, man, this guy is so obnoxious. And so They had this really long ladder that went up to the ceiling, and there was a door in the ceiling. So my brother says, okay, so I'll go up and get the guy. I'm like, okay, I'll be down here. And I'm just standing there, and I brought a student with me. I was teaching them how to do this, and big heavy footsteps up on the ceiling. And then all of a sudden, the footsteps stop, and out of the blue, this guy slaps me on the back of my neck so hard. I was so shocked by that. I have never been slapped by a ghost. And so he says to me, "Get out of here," slap. And I'm like, what? I jumped so who knows how high. And I looked at the student and I said, "Oh my God, this guy just slapped me on the back of the neck." And so he goes, "No way." And I go, "Way." And so I said, "Okay, come on, let's go. Come on out here where the light is better." So we go out in the hall, and he goes, "Oh my God, the back of your neck is beat red." I said, "I know." Okay, Marla, here's the human side of me that is standing there going, "This is impossible. This is impossible." So I look up at my brother, who's like 20, 30 feet up in the air on this ladder, almost to the ceiling, and I said, "Bro, did you just slap me on the back of my head?" Now, obviously, I know he didn't, but I could not believe this ghost actually slapped me. So my brother is way up there. He goes, "Sis, think about what you just said." And I said, "Honey, I can't figure out how this ghost slapped me." And so there was no more footsteps up on the ceiling. And then Michael just came back down, but the guy, he just kept disappearing. And then he'd go over to a different part of the warehouse, and then he'd make a whole bunch of noise. So then we'd go over there, and it was really obnoxious. And he was, probably of all the ghost jobs we've done, the percentage of not being able to get these folks to go over to the other side is maybe about 2%. I mean, really, it really is more like ghost counseling than ghost busting. And so with this guy, he wouldn't go. It was just, "I'm not going, and you guys can't make me." And we're like, "You're right, we can't make you. I mean, you have free will, but this is such a waste of your time to just hang out in this warehouse." And he said, "No, it's not. This is my land, and I'm staying here." I was like, "Okay," and that was it.
You just kind of get to the point that, there's only so much you can do.
Oh my God, I can get so frustrated with some of these folks because they're just so adamant. They're just like, "No, you can't make me go."
Well,
and
human beings,
right.
same thing. Somebody's going to dig their heels in. They're going to dig their heels in. There isn't a whole lot you can do about it.
Yep.
I just got a question from the chat room from Jason. He's over in Ireland.
Oh, my goodness. I love it.
And he would like to know, what about ghosts that commit suicide? And I guess I'm kind of assuming, are they, afraid to cross over? Are they allowed to cross over? And I know you wrote about that in the book, so it's a great question.
Okay, yes, Jason. Hello, Jason. I happen to be in McKee, so I think that's very cool that you're in Ireland. Okay, ghosts that commit suicide. Some of them hang around on our side because they're afraid to go the other side. They're afraid that if they go to the other side, they're going to be punished for taking their lives, or some of them think that God might send them to hell. And so they just hang out in the astral plane. But there is no rule out there that says that they can't go back home after they've committed suicide. They are welcomed back, and there are lots of caregivers on the other side who begin working with them right away because, they're usually in a pretty messed up state of mind. And so really there's lots of caregivers that work with suicide people. But the problem is that some of these folks don't know that, and they're afraid of the punishment. So they will hang out on the astral plane. So for anybody that's listening tonight, if you know of someone that has committed suicide, the nicest thing you can do for them is just say their name out loud and then tell them, you can go to the light. Go to the light. Go Go get the help that you need. Go to the light. And say it to them enough until you actually can feel a disconnect from that person, and then you'll know that, wow, they really did move on. And it's a nice thing that we can do for the deceased.
Now, you use your guides a great deal when you're dealing with these cases, and they have some fantastic suggestions for ways to help hesitant ghosts cross over.
Yeah.
And I was touched particularly by one of the stories where the guides went over to the other side and brought back a man's dog who he loved very much. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so maybe you should tell that story because it's really quite lovely.
Yeah, Marla, it was so sweet, and my brother was so cool. I mean, he was one of these ghosts that was just a nasty guy, and he tried to come across like, don't mess with me, and I'm a tough guy. He was just obnoxious, and his whole deal was, the reason that the people called us to that whole house was because their two children kept saying that there was a scary man in the hallway, and they were afraid to go to bed at night. And so when we got there, we found this guy, and we asked him why he was being so mean to the kids. And he said that he just wanted to get the kids out of there. And he said that's why he kept trying to push them down the stairs. And he said that they just make a lot of noise, and they're very annoying, and but he really likes this house, and so he wanted to live there. And it's like, oh my God, you can't push children down the stairs. And he's like, well, I'm trying, so that's kind of his attitude. Mm-hmm. And so then we talked to him about, okay, all right, let's talk, about you going over to the other side. And he was like, no, I'm not going over there. And we asked him if there was a reason why. No, he just didn't want to go there. Mm-hmm. Okay, so then Michael's guide, who was totally cool about this, came up with a great idea. And he told Michael, he said the guy had a dog named Copper who is now on the other side. And he said, I'll go get his dog, and I'll bring the dog here. And about, it was just maybe even 10 seconds later, into the room comes this dog, just bouncing into the room, happy, really cool dog. And the guy was like, oh my God, Copper! And he got down on the ground. He was playing with his dog. His dog was licking his face. The guy was so happy. He went from this just mean guy into almost like a little kid, and he was so happy to see his dog. And then Michael said, the guy's name was Roy. He said, Roy, here's the deal. Copper belongs on the other side. And he said, and so if you want to stay with Copper, he said, you need to go over there with him. He said, because Copper, he's a spirit now. He doesn't want to stay on this side. And so after probably, I don't know how long, maybe 15 more minutes of conversation, he agreed that he would go with Copper to the other side. And they left.
Mm-hmm. Cool. That story just touched my heart because I'm an animal person, and for the guides to come up with that was brilliant.
I know, wasn't that cool? I know. Yeah. It never even occurred to me. Yeah, I was impressed with that one too.
They have so many creative ways of finding solutions and stuff throughout the book, and my hat's off to them because you've got a band of very clever ones.
Yes, I know. They are. They're really cool.
Yeah. Really
sweet people. And then, there's another group that's talked about in the book for anybody listening that thinks that you might have a ghost and you don't know what to do about it. This was really cool. I had, I don't even remember the exact incident when they introduced themselves to me, but there was this group of ghosts, former ghosts, that came into my office, I think, one night. I think that's how this went. Oh, my memory's getting bad. And they said, we are here to help you with your work. And there were about 8 of them standing there. And they said, we are former ghosts. And when we got over to the other side and we realized what it's really all about, he said, we just want to get everybody over there because it's such a nice place to go. And he said, so anytime somebody comes to you or writes you a letter or sends an email and they live someplace where you can't reach them, he said, just tell them to call on us. Just ask for the squadron. And he said, and we'll go in and we'll get their ghosts out of there and we'll take them back home. And so, Marla, what was so cool was some of those 8 ghosts I recognized from jobs that Michael and I had done. And so I knew that this was a real thing. It's like, wow, this is so cool. And then, if you think about it, really, it kind of makes sense. Of course, they're going to, develop some kind of group and come here and help. And so there's been lots of people who have written over the years and asked if I could recommend a Ghostbuster for their area. And I don't know a lot of Ghostbusters out there. So I usually recommend the Squadron. And people email me back all the time and say, oh my gosh, all the ghost activity stopped after I called that Squadron. Yeah. So it's really cool.
I think that is just so neat. I mean, that's towards the end of the book, and I picked that up today and saw that, and I went, wow, I really, really, really like that.
Yep.
Because that's something that anybody, I mean, they're available to anybody. And sometimes people, as you said, don't have the ability to call someone in to help, or don't feel that they have the strength or the ability to help themselves.
Yep.
So, I mean, what a great kind of philanthropic group you found. I mean, that's really great.
Yep.
Now, I've got a question that people ask over and over again. We know that we're all born with psychic ability to some degree, and whether or not we acknowledge it or develop it is kind of a personal choice. But what about the ability to actually see ghosts and spirits? Because, while all mediums are psychics, not all psychics are mediums in that respect.
Right.
So is that by grand design or by choice?
Oh, boy, good question. By choice. I don't, let's see. You know what I think it is? My belief is that, excuse me, yes, we all have psychic abilities. We were all just born with them, just like we were all born with musical abilities too. But, a lot of us aren't drawn to do anything with that. But we have that potential in us. And so it depends upon how many past lives we've used our abilities and how did we use them. Were they clairvoyance? Were they clairaudience? Oh my gosh. What part of us is already developed, and maybe we're coming into another life to develop a different part of our psychic abilities. And so, like my brother, he never took a class. He at about age 8, he just started seeing spirit, and my mom and I, we needed to take classes to develop our abilities because we just didn't even understand really how to work with them, how to turn them on or turn them off. And then my sister, it's just been kind of bizarre. She's heard all of us talk about these things. And, she's been half interested, but, and then at some point her hands started to heat up when she was around sick people. So she talked to us and we said, well, you've got the gift of healing. Okay, well then she started doing healings on people. Then, out of the blue, she's doing healings on people, and she calls me one night and says, sis, there's dead people in my office. And I said, well, honey, did they introduce themselves? She goes, no, I'm scared to death to talk to them. I go, well, I said, okay, so obviously you're able to see them. And she goes, how did this happen? And I said, I don't know. And she's almost 50 when this starts happening for her. So, for her whole life up till 50, it's like, oh, that's interesting what you guys have. And now all of a sudden she's a full-blown medium. She communicates to the deceased all the time. So again, she didn't take a class. And, you just wonder, why did it take her that long? I don't know. Maybe she had to get comfortable finally being ready in her life, a place in her life where, okay, now I can open up this door. I think it's so interesting. I watch my students, and, I love my students because you look out in a room of 60 people and the first night of class and they're all excited and you know, I always wonder, okay, which ones are the ones that are going to be really gifted and which are the ones that are going to struggle, and I can never tell really. And it's just fun to watch. It's interesting from my perspective to see how they can put up blocks. Their fear creates blocks, resistance with their religion. You know, they've got old religious teaching that says this is wrong. And so you can see that they've brought forward from past lives, they've brought their gifts forward, and now they're trying to open that door again. And then you can see other students who have never really developed their abilities in past lives, and they really, oh man, it's like moving through mud. It takes them quite a bit of time to work through all kinds of beliefs about this being wrong. So, you know, Marla, it's always so interesting to see, okay, you know, people like my sister, how did your abilities just open up like that? And my brother Michael, you know, he was obviously very gifted in past lives, because as an 8-year-old, I mean, he was talking about people that he was seeing auras, he knew things about the future. It's fascinating. You know, I'm sorry, that's such a long answer.
No, it's a great answer.
Long journey.
Because there's no definitive, it's not a one-sentence answer. I mean,
yeah.
and it encompasses so much, and, you know, it's not as simple as I believe or I don't believe that I can, or that, okay, well, maybe if I let down the wall, that'll happen. You know, I mean, there's a lot of factors that go into it, and the past life thing makes a great deal of sense, because I always say that young spirits, young people, young souls, I can tell. I mean, I'm not saying this just, you know, out of the top of my head, but I can tell when somebody's a very young soul. You can tell by the way they live their lives. You can tell by the wide-eyed kind of thing, you know.
Yes.
But some of those, even though they're maybe for second time around as opposed to, you know, some older souls, they don't have those walls. And sometimes that helps them open up a lot easier.
Yeah, I agree.
Because there aren't any prejudices. So, I mean, no, that's a great answer to probably a difficult question. But thank you.
Yeah, of course.
You know, sometimes, here's another thing that people do often, and they can mistake the motives of a well-meaning ghost. I mean, they're not all bad. Like in the book, the story of the policeman who decided to protect the workers in a massage parlor, but instead of seeming benevolent, he appeared malevolent because he was banging on the walls and, in one instance, scared a customer by ripping down the shower curtain as the man was cleaning up. So I think this is a good story to tell, and there is a moral to it. So why don't you?
There was.
Tell
Marla,
this
isn't that a cute story?
I love it.
You know, no, okay, these women call us. They have a massage parlor, and so we go down to this massage parlor, and I'm walking around this place, and, you know, and the lady who owns it, she's explaining, oh, my girls are scared to death to come to work, and, you know, every once in a while there's this loud banging on the walls, and it's like, wow, okay, what else? And, well, you know, the lights are flicker, and, you know, we just want to know what this is. And so I came around one of the corners. It was an oddly shaped building, and I had walked down this long hall, and then I came around this corner, and there's this cop. I mean, but he's deceased, but he's the spirit. He's sitting there, and he's got his uniform on, and really nice guy. I mean, he had really nice energy, and I just said, whoa. I mean, he just kind of took me by surprise that he was there, and I said, whoa, you know, hi, what's your name? And he said, Bill. And I said, well, what are you doing here? And he said, I protect the girls. And then he said that when there's a bad John in one of the rooms, that's when he bangs on the doors or bangs on the walls to protect the girls, to let the girls know that this guy isn't such a good guy. And he was so sincere about it. Oh my goodness. And he said that I talked to him about, going over to the light, and he said he knew all about the light. He said he could see it, but he said that he felt that he could do so much more here by protecting the girls. And then he said that he was sorry about the incident the other night. And he said, but that man really made me angry. And so I said to the woman, okay, well, he said that, to tell you that he's very sorry about an incident. I think it was the night before, and her eyes just about popped out of her head, and she says, oh my, yeah. She says he ripped the shower curtain out of the wall, and she said, our customer is a priest, and she says he flew out of here when that shower curtain came down around him. I mean, and the cop, it was interesting to watch him because he was getting angrier and angrier as she was talking. And he just looked at me with this look of contempt, like, that's what I mean. I have to protect the girls. And so then he said, he was kind of sweet, he said, if they don't want me here, I will leave. Oh. But, yeah, he said, but believe me, I'm just here to protect them. And he showed me how he had died. He was, I saw a picture of him. He was standing outside of a squad car, and somebody hit him. And they didn't mean to hit him. It was like a swerving kind of, whoa, boom, down he went. Mm-hmm. And I'm trying to remember this. That was probably 20 years ago that I saw that experience. Okay, my memory. And so what I did was I said, okay, here's what we'll do, Bill. I'll talk to the ladies. And so we just went in the room and we had a nice little chat with the women that were there. And they all said no, that they were comforted knowing who he was, what he was, and that he could stay, and that they will now pay attention to his signs. And if he bangs on the walls, then they'll know that they need to protect themselves a little bit more. Mm-hmm. So they decided to keep him.
And the moral to this story, I think... Go ahead. Hmm? No, go ahead.
I don't think that massage parlor is here anymore, so maybe Bill moved on to the other side, I don't know.
Well,
he's really, really nice guy.
If he did, then, there was no reason for him to hang around.
Right.
But I, as I read that, I'm thinking, moral of the story, never judge a ghost by its clatter, right? So...
Say it again?
Never judge a ghost by its clatter. Even though he was making noise, they might have thought he was bad, all right.
Now, what a great little slogan. I think we should put that on a bumper sticker.
Yeah, really. Exactly. Well, one message that comes across loud and clear in your book about dealing with ghosts in any way, shape, or form is the necessity of setting boundaries and not being namby-pamby about it either.
Yeah, I know it.
So how does one go about doing that?
Oh, man, Myla, that's probably the one area that we struggle with people, because people are like, no, I can't make my ghost mad, I can't tell him to go, he'll get really mad. What if he hurts me? What if he tries to kill me? What if he hurts my kids? It's like, wow. Okay, listen, folks, you're the one with the body, you're the one with the power, and... a lot of ghosts, they love to scare people. But it's more they're bored. They're just trying to get some kicks. Ghosts are very young souls. They're not old souls. Because any old soul, heck, they'd shoot on over to the other side when their body died. But younger souls, they don't really get this whole death thing very well. And so... they've got different beliefs about death, and so it's usually the younger ones that are earthbound, and they like to scare people. They like to make noise. The other thing that I don't like about ghosts is that they take energy from us to make these things happen. And, I've seen a lot of folks that have a ghost in their house. One of the members of the family has like chronic fatigue syndrome, or they just sleep a lot, they have low thyroid, they have health problems. That's pretty common in a house that has ghosts and has had them for a while, is that someone in the house is sickly. And so usually the ghost is taking energy from somebody in that house. And that's what I think is such a shame about the whole thing. And then when you tell the people, you really need to put your foot down and get rid of these ghosts, they're like, oh, no, I just can't. And it's like, yeah, you can. And if people could think of the ghosts as visitors, unwelcomed visitors in their home. And, if somebody walked in the front door with 3 suitcases and said, okay, well, I'm going to live in your house now for a while. I know you don't know me and I don't know you, but I think this is a nice house, so I'm just going to move in and I'm going to do whatever I feel like doing. I don't think I know one person that would say, oh, yeah, sure, come on in, make yourself at home. And most of us would say, are you crazy? You get out of my house. I don't know you. You're a stranger. Okay. So we have to look at ghosts in that way, too, that they are intruders. They've come into our home because they're looking for a place to hang out, and we don't have to put up with it. We have to maintain our boundaries with ghosts also and just say, no, nobody's allowed in my house. I don't want any ghosts in my house. And the other thing people can do is, we all have spirit guides. We all have at least one spirit helper, if not 2. And you can tell your spirit guides, please keep my house clear of ghosts. I don't want any ghosts in my house. And that alone, just setting that boundary is really, really important. And they can tell, they can tell that, okay, that's not a good house to go into because they're not going to put up with us. But this house over here, oh, this person's really nice. They'll let us stay. That's that kind of thing.
And just to go back to kind of the once you do clear the house, it's very important to obey the 3-day rule, which I think you should tell everybody about as well.
Yes, the 3-day rule. We found out the hard way about the 3-day rule. And what the 3-day rule is, we tell people, okay, after we're done getting the ghost to the other side, please don't talk about the ghost while you're in the house. Just give the ghost 3 days to get used to what heaven is like. They'll see their relatives, they'll see old friends, they'll see that, wow, it's really a cool place over here. And their misconceptions of heaven slowly start to melt away as they see what the place is really like. And usually after 3 days, they're like, hey, this place is cool. But what can happen is that we get the house nice and clear. Oh my gosh, it feels so good. Everything feels good. And there's no more creepy feelings around the house. Everybody can sleep really good. But if the person or the people in the house start talking about the ghost, gee, remember when Bruce did this, and remember when Bruce did that, and wasn't that funny when Bruce knocked that, picture frame off the counter, things like that. Mm-hmm. Well, good old Bruce on the other side is thinking, hey, I think they miss me. I think I need to go back. Mm-hmm. And it's actually their thoughts and their, just all the talk about Bruce, making it sound like they miss him. They can actually draw that spirit back or that ghost back to them. So, we tell people, okay, of course you want to talk about this to people, but go do it someplace else. Go to a coffee shop. Go to somebody else's house and talk about your ghosts. Talk about the experience of getting rid of them. But don't make it sound like you want that ghost to come back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, don't leave cookies and milk out on the table, and
Amen.
Just, The other thing after a clearing that you're a very strong proponent of is saging.
Yeah. You know what? Oh my God, girl, we've gone through so much sage. Okay, we finally found a different something to burn now, but we use Palo Santo, which is holy wood from Peru. Oh my God, it smells really nice. Oh man, you know how sage can smell like pot,
yes.
right? Okay, so oh my God, my brother. One time we had to go do a ghost busting job during the day, and so what we do. Okay, I want to make 2 points here. When we are done getting the ghost to go into the light, then we burn sage, and you put the sage in a shell, and you light it, and then you blow it out so that you get the smoke. And and you want to open a window somewhere in the house while you're saging the house. And what the sage is doing is it's going through the house and it's clearing all of the fear and the anger and the frustration. All of the negativity is clearing all the negativity out of the house. And the Native American Indians always say, open a window when you burn sage so that the negative energy can go out. Okay. Now, some people think that if they burn sage, that's going to get rid of a ghost. It does not get rid of a ghost. I mean, I've seen ghosts just stand there and look at me and go, "What is that stuff?" And it's sage. Oh, what do you do with it? Well, it's to clear all the negative energy around here because of you. It's like, me? What did I do? I didn't do anything. Well, you've created a lot of anger between the two homeowners. One thinks that there's a ghost here, the other one thinks they're crazy, and there's a lot of tension because of you. And the ghost is like, whatever. And so then you burn sage, and the ghost just stands right there. Or they'll act like they're choking or something, or they might go outside just until the place clears, and then they'll go back in. So the sage does not get rid of a ghost. Just like, another thing, oh my God, Marla, this was so funny. We were called to a house up north Minneapolis, and we walked into this lady's house. Holy smokes, girl, she had a crucifix every 3 inches, I swear. I mean, this house had more crosses on the wall than and statues, and oh my gosh. And wow. It was so funny because, and my brother's it's really funny, and he made some kind of comment about, do you think that you have enough of these? And she said, well, I have them here so that the ghosts will go away. And so the ghost, he was standing right there, and he said to us, why does she have all this stuff here? And we said, well, she's got it here to protect her from you. And the ghost was just shocked. The ghost said, I'm not doing anything. It's like, well, why would that get rid of me? I don't get that. Okay, so that was fascinating to just, because I remember my teacher, she always had a cross. She would always bring a cross out when we did our classes. And so, a cross, it was important to her. And, but, so we, of course, I didn't know any better, so I just assumed that a ghost would be like, maybe, I don't know, kind of influenced somehow by a cross. But it was just like, oh yeah, that stuff. It was not like, oh, yeah, okay, well, a cross is here, so I better get out of here. So that's interesting, too. What I want is people to really know that they're really just dealing with people who are not very smart, really. And so these ghosts, they're not advanced souls, I can tell you that right now. They are not. And, yeah. So if they do choose to burn some sage, it's going to get rid of all the negativity, but it's not going to get rid of the ghost.
And Marla, we do have a caller on the line. Go ahead, caller.
So I see. Hi, Dave.
Hi, Marla, and hi, Echo. How are you?
Dave, I'm very good, thank you. Where do you live?
Glad to hear it. I'm in Kentucky, as a matter of fact.
I love it. I just love it. I love the fact that we can connect with people everywhere.
Oh, sure. This is the state where Mark Twain said that he wants to be at the end of the world because Kentucky is 10 years behind everything else. So,
Just
That's
so
a
you know,
good one.
Echo, Dave is Dave Jones, the owner of Para X, and our boss man that we love and answer to.
Oh, how cool. Ooh, we got the boss on the phone. Ooh.
Yes,
okay,
we do.
Okay, Dave, I'll clean up my act.
No need. I was testing Tim's call in, and folks, you need to call in. Well, of course, the show's nearly over, but you got a chance to call and talk to the fabulous Echo Bodine, and always wonderful Marla Brooks, and the most recently made pro producer Tim Shaw. So,
Yay!
yeah.
It's getting
Good.
awful dark.
Honest
It's getting
big boy
deep here,
man.
Dave, okay? That's enough of that.
Well, folks, I just want to call in and say a terrific show, and we're so thrilled to have you guys on Para X. You're doing great. Loving the show.
Cool. Very cool. Thank you, Dave.
Anytime.
Oh,
Have fun.
Thanks
Thank
for
you.
scaring
Take care,
Tim
folks.
for me. I appreciate it. I owe you one.
Not a problem. Take care, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay, Echo, time is unfortunately running short, but definitely please come back because we've got so much to talk about.
No, there is a lot to talk about when we get on to the whole subject. Yeah, that's so much. So much.
So you'll be hearing back from me shortly about setting up another date. But I want to make sure that we get in any upcoming events that people might find you at, or where they can purchase your books and your website address, all that good
my
stuff.
website is echobodine.com, and that's ECHOBODINE.com. I also have another website, which is called www.trustthevoicewithin.com. And it's all about, it's a movement to get everyone in the world to live by their intuition. So it's really fun. You can subscribe to it, and we do little things each week. And I don't know, it's just a really cool little site that I just love.
Oh.
And let's see, what else can I tell you?
Where can people find your books?
Oh, yeah. You can find all the books. Actually, on my website, we have a store. And then if you want to buy any of the books, it takes you right to Amazon.com, where they can order all of them. And don't have anything coming up. I'm going to do a thing in New Mexico, Albuquerque, at the end of this month for Edgar Casey's Foundation, a psychic development workshop. And then I'll be in Pittsburgh in April, and I'll be down at Virginia Beach in May, doing a ghost conference down there. So, yeah, fun things are coming up.
And you're working on a new book.
Working on a new book called What Happens When We Die. And because of YouTube, this phone conversation previous to the show was really, really significant. So thank you very much for everything that you said. It was very cool.
Oh,
very
well.
Cool. Very, very cool.
Well, I'm glad.
Yep.
That works much better than Sage, doesn't it?
Yeah, it sure does. Oh, man. You know what? Why don't you shoot me your email address or your home address, and I'll send you some Palo Santo so you can smell it, because you'll love it. You'll love it.
Great. Yeah, well, when we get off here, just hang on, don't hang up, and we'll talk then.
Okay.
But I want to thank you so much for popping in tonight. Like I said, you made my day. You made Tim's day. And everybody in the chat room. And the chat room is overflowing. And
good.
That's great. So, again, we will have you back.
Okay.
And because there's so much to talk about.
I know there is. All right, you darlings, thank you for tonight. I'm telling you, you just helped me so much, and I would love to come back anytime. Okay?
Great. Well, stay on the line.
Okay.
We close out, and I want to thank, in the meantime, everybody for tuning in tonight. And please join me next week when my guest will be Dr. Kirby Surprise, and we'll be talking about his new book, Synchronicity. So until next time, everybody, blessed be and merry meet again. Good night.
This has been another edition of Stirring the Cauldron with Marla Brooks. Be sure to tune in next week at the same time for another great guest and more fun. Any rebroadcast or other use of this program without permission is strictly prohibited. Copyright 2009.
You have been listening to the Para X Radio Network.